guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another episode with Boss Beauty. My name is Olatejuwelo if you're new, and if you've been coming all along, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for staying. I appreciate all of you guys. On today's episode, I'm not doing makeup. As you can see, I've already got my beautiful face done. I'm going to be sharing a video of how I achieved this beautiful look. But today's episode is something different entirely. And this is going to actually be in series. Yes. I'm sure you guys have seen, that I've been away for a few weeks. Anytime I've gone away like that, guys, you just need to know that, this girl is probably going through life or, there's something going on. So I've actually been sick, but I'm back now. And one of the things that has actually been, that was stressing me and that triggered my crisis was me going through, at the moment, I'm going through the process of selling my house and buying another one. So I thought, right, all this information that I've learned, that I know, I need to share it with you guys. I need to share it with all of you guys, so at least one or two people might be able to benefit from it, because sometimes, especially in this UK, you will feel like, people don't share information or they don't share enough information. It's because when they're sharing that information, sometimes it doesn't make sense to you because you're not in that shoe, so you don't actually know how to relate with that information. But when you actually now get to that stage where you need that information, it then becomes, oh wow, I should have done this, I should have done that. So that's why I thought, right, I'm going to be sharing this knowledge, this information that I've gathered, and my own personal experience. So today's topic is going to be, should I buy my council property? Yeah, at least a few people have council properties in the UK, and a council house is basically a property, a house that has been given to yourself because you fit the criteria or you meet the criteria for getting that council property. So it's a property that's been given to you to help your situation when you need it. It might be because you're homeless, it might be because you're living in an overcrowded environment, or you've got children and you can't afford to go and to go and rent privately, or because of your health, because of age, you're a student. There's a lot of reasons. As long as you meet the conditions to get a council property, then you apply for it and you get given one. Now, when you live in that property, after 5 years, you can buy it. And that is called right to buy. There's been a news recently saying the procedure for right to buy is going to be changing. That is, the discount is going to be changing. So a lot of people has actually put in to buy it before the discount process changes. So I just thought, right, what better time to share this information? Let's do it now. And it is now that I'm actually learning a lot of things that if I had known, when I started my journey, I think I would have thought otherwise, or I would have done things differently. So now, should you buy your council house? Yes, you can buy your council house. You have the right to acquire it, to buy it, once you've lived in the property for 5 years. Now, there is clause to after you've actually bought it. And before you buy it, there are a lot of things you need to consider. One of the major things is, are you a single parent? Are you couple? Can you afford it? Can you get a mortgage? Do you have a good job that can let you be able to acquire it? So for me, as an individual, I've got 2 children, and when I got my council house, I was given 2-bedroom house. I've got a boy and I've got a girl. Unfortunately or fortunately, when my daughter, who is older, when she was about, I think she was around 5-6 years old when I had my son. So now, because my son is still young, obviously both of them were sharing the same room, and my mom lives with me because of my health, so she can look after me. So now we're 4 living in 2 bedrooms. I tried to apply for a 3-bedroom. Unfortunately, I didn't get one because there was a lot of people on the queue, and I didn't have a higher priority. But what I should have done was I should have waited, or I should have, got some letter from the hospital to help me back up my application, which I did initially when I applied for the current one that I'm living in. So I should have done exactly the same thing again. But buy your council house. It's a good investment. It helps you to get on the property ladder. Yes, it helps you to get on the property ladder. Yes, it's a good investment. But before it becomes an investment, there are a lot of criteria. There are a lot of conditions. So it's those conditions that you need to consider. So one of the major things is when you're buying your council property, are you going to be living in there, forever? Or are you planning to buy it just because you want to use it for investment? Or are you buying it because, for example, in my situation, I bought it because I've applied for a 3-bedroom. It wasn't coming through. I could afford it. Right. And I had my Help to Buy ISA at the time, which I could have used, for something else. But yes, I did use it to buy my property. I used it as a deposit for this council house that I've got. So, however, when I was buying it, I knew that I needed a 3-bedroom or even 4-bedroom because we are 4 that lives in the property, and also because I've got a boy and a girl. So when they're age or at a point, they're going to need, their spaces. So when I bought mine, I knew that I was going to need that space. So I was like, okay, if I buy it, then yes, I'm going to be moving out soon to buy another one. Now, there's clause. So when you're buying a council house, when you buy it, you need to be in there for another 5 years, because you get a discount when you're buying a council house. And that's one of the reasons why people say it's an investment or it helps you to get on the property ladder. It's because you get a good discount, and that's because you've been living in that property. So now you want to buy it, the council gives you a discount, and then it becomes affordable for you, which if you were buying privately or if you were buying, off the market, it will be more expensive and might not be affordable for you. And that's why a lot of people would say buying a council house, it's good, it's cheaper, it helps you get on the property ladder. But that clause of you need to live in there for at least 5 years, because if you're getting rid of the property, so let's say you want to sell the property back within the first 5 years, council is going to claim some discount back. Now that depends on when you want to initiate that sale process. So let's say you've got the property now, you've lived in there for 2 years, and then you decide you want to sell it on. The council is going to charge you 60% that time of their discount. So it will be, let's say you bought the property for 50,000 and then you're selling it for 100,000. So you've made £50,000. You've made £50,000 profits. So council is going to charge you 60% of the £50,000 profit that you've made. If you're selling it within your 3rd year, then if you're selling it within the 2nd year, is 80%. Within the 3rd year is 60. Within the 4th year is 40. And then if you're selling it within the 5 years, so it's not that 5 years yet, then it's 20%. Once it's that 5 years, then yes, there will be no discount charged. So that is within the first 5 years. Now, for you to actually sell the property, you need to have had the property for 10 years. Because within that first 10 years, if you want to sell it, council has the first right of refusal. That is, if you want to sell it within the first 10 years, you need to offer it back to the council first. If they say, no, we cannot afford it, we're not buying it, yes, now you're free to sell it on the market. But you cannot just go to a estate agent and say, oh, I want to sell my property. No. So remember, within the first 5 years, they're claiming discount back. But also within the first 10 years, you have to offer it back to the council first. So you cannot sell it on the market within the first 10 years without the council saying, no, we are not buying it from you. So you have those 2 clauses. Now in my situation, but before that 5 years, I really needed that bigger space because now my kids are growing. My girl is She was 10. We're fighting for space. I need a bathroom. You need to come out. If you have a boy and a girl, trust me, you will understand what I'm saying. That fight is unreal. Like, it's every day. I want to dress up, get out. Sophia. Yeah, that was really stressing me. But I knew that I couldn't sell it within that first 5 years. And within that time as well, I can't buy another one. So there are a lot of reasons why I can't buy another one. Yeah. So one of the reasons why I can't buy another one is because I've got one property that I own, and I'm paying the council tax on that property. So now if I want to buy another one, don't forget it becomes a second property. So you are a second-time buyer. And because the other property that you want to buy, it becomes another residential property, right? Because don't forget that council house is still yours. You still need to live in there for that 5 years. Some people will say, yes, I want to just rent it. If you're renting it at your own risk, because your name is on the council tax, right? Your name is on the land register. So now you're buying another property to have your name on the land registry. That becomes a second property, a second residential home. You can have a second residential home. You're paying stamp duty, a higher rate. You're going to be a second-time buyer. Your deposit is more. So as a first-time buyer, when you're buying, when you need to acquire, when you want to get a mortgage, some bank would accept 5%, especially when that Help to Buy was going on. It was 5% deposit from yourself, 25% from the council or the government, 20% from the government, and then the rest of the 75 is coming from the bank. But now as a second-time buyer, you don't have that option. So there are a lot of things to consider. I don't want this, video to be too long, but the main topic for this video is if you should buy your council house. Yes, it has its own benefits, and no, it has its own disadvantages. So one of the benefits is that it's cheaper to buy. You might only need 5% to acquire it from the bank. You're only giving 5% deposit and the bank is giving you the rest. One thing you need to remember, just because it's a council house and because you've been paying your rent, it doesn't mean that you will not get a mortgage. You will still get a mortgage, and as long as you're getting a mortgage, you will definitely need a deposit. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a mortgage advisor. Yes, I'm an insurance advisor, but I am sharing all of this information based on my own personal experience because I bought my own council house and I'm learning a lot as I go along. So I bought my council house now for about 6 years. It's going to be 7 years next year, and I've learned a lot within that short period of time, so that's why I just thought I have to share this information with people. So apart from that benefit that you're paying less deposit when you're buying it from when you're getting the mortgage from the bank, the property is also cheaper than if you were buying from the market. And when you're paying off your mortgage, it could still be as about the same rate that you're paying to the council because, again, it's cheaper, so you're paying less. That's basically what it is. One of the major disadvantages for me is that, well, not just for me, the general disadvantages is that you need to live in the property for 5 years before you can either sell it on or rent it, because the council is going to get back some discount based on the profit you're making on that sale of the property. However, to sell it, before you can even sell it, within the first 10 years, the council has the first right of refusal before you can sell it on the market. That's it. Now, the other disadvantage is, as a single person, it can be difficult to buy another property because now, even though you're selling the council one or you're keeping the council one, you are now a second-time buyer. So you're going to need more deposits. And depending on your situation, if you're buying another one as a buy-to-let, you're a second-time buyer, you need 25% deposit towards your mortgage. If you're buying a second property as a residential property, yes, some banks will take 10% from you, Or if you decide to give 25% again, yes, they will buy it. But don't forget, you're still paying rent, you're still paying bills, and this economy is not economy at the moment properly at all. So raising 25% or even 10% as a single person to buy a property worth 200,000, 250,000, 300,000, it becomes a challenge. And also, your salary would determine if you can afford it or not. Your outgoings, your incomings, all of those things are going to be considered when you want to buy another one. Another thing is, once you buy, in fact, from the time that you apply that you want to buy your council property, it becomes your responsibility. Every repair, every damage becomes your responsibility. Before you will call the council that the boiler is broken, they will come and fix it. It's your property. The door, the gates, whatever that you would normally call the council for becomes your property. You need to make sure your fire safety check is done yearly. You need to make sure that your whatever that you have at home, your gas, your fire, your cooker, everything is safe to do. You need to do your home insurance, building and content. When you were a council tenant, you don't need to do a building insurance. If you're renting a property anywhere, private, council, you only need your content insurance. But if you're buying the property, it becomes your responsibility. You need a building and content insurance. So there is nothing like, oh, I'm calling the council because that thing is broken. No, it's your responsibility. So it's all of those things you need to put into consideration. Can I afford it? If you're also living in that property, in the council property, and you're on benefit, you need to consider the changes that are going to happen when you're buying it. Your benefit might stop, it might reduce. The things that you're getting for free or whatever, because don't forget, you're buying. So for you to buy, it means you are fit. That's why you want to buy it. So everything becomes your responsibility. One thing I've just found out recently, after 7 years of owning my council property, is that, so my property is a flat. And actually, another thing is, if you're buying a flat, it's usually a leasehold. It's when you're buying a house that you might get a freehold. So when I bought mine, it's a leasehold. So I'm paying service charge. So what I just found out recently is that because I'm paying a service charge, I actually don't need to do a building insurance. I didn't know that. And I've bought a building insurance for 7 years and still counting. So sometimes you don't learn everything at once. You learn as you go. What you just don't want to do is learning by you don't want to learn after you've made the mistake. You don't want to learn by force. You don't want to learn by force. You want to make sure you learn before you fall a victim. Because then what you're going to be saying is, people don't give the right information. People never said. Now, a lot of what I'm thinking in my head or what's going on in my head is, all these people that are always staying in council house and staying there and saying, this is where I'm going to be old. This is where I'm going to stay until I retire. Now I understand it, because this girl is going through it. I am going through it. I'm not going to lie. But has it been worth it? Yes. Has it had these ups and downs? Yes. And as we go through this series, this parts, I will be sharing all the things I've been learning, the good and the bad. The good and the bad. However, for now, I'm just going to keep it simple. But yes, if you are planning to buy your council house, you need to consider all of these things that I've said, that I've shared. And please ask questions as you go along. Ask long-term questions. Sometimes you feel like, I will cross the bridge, or when we get there, we'll cross the bridge. It's better to cross the bridge now and consider those things that will, or those stumbling path, or if that's correct. But yeah, you need to consider all of those thorns and literally everything you can consider. Some questions will not come to you straight away, but when you hear people or when someone is telling you about their own experience, always listen and take notes. It might not be useful for you now that you're listening to it. It will be useful at some point later in the future. And I wish I knew a lot of the things that I found out along the way. I think I would have made a better decision. And as we go through this episode, I will be sharing those things as I mentioned earlier, especially as someone that has got a long-term health condition. So guys, I'm going to be stopping this video here, and until next time, don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends, ask questions down below, leave comments down in the comment section. If you've bought your own council house and you have a different experience, please share it down in the comment section. Let's learn together and let's grow together. The information might be useful for one person or two people, or it might not be useful for anybody now, but later in the future, it might be useful. So please, let's be generous with our information, and please leave your comments in the comment section down below. Thank you so much. I will see you next time in my next episode. Bye. Till another time.